Well, hello everybody. Delighted to be with you and have this opportunity to share with you some tried and tested and some proven ideas. And it was helpful that I put my microphone on. I can see some very old friends there. Lovely to see you all this morning. Thank you, Will, for waving at me there. And I can see Clinton. And I think on the list I can see all sorts of people. Jerry's got a problem with his computer. Who else has joined us? There's lots of people have joined us today, isn't there? So let's have a look here. Somebody in the waiting room, and we will get going very shortly. I'm really looking forward to this exciting times with AI. Terry Marsh, I see, is just coming in there, and who else have we got? So people in the waiting room. So good morning, everybody. Delighted to be with you. Why don't we start off by working in the chat box? So get ourselves going, and I'll start with this. I am in Long Itchington. That's where I live these days. I must admit it sounds more like a disease than a place, as you can probably imagine. But I wonder where you are in the world today. If you'd like to put that in the chat box, then I would wonder whether or not my chat will actually come up. So let's try putting a chat in and see what happens, shall we? I think, Rach, when we put it on the different system, that the chat doesn't come on where I want it to be. But we'll see that. Let's see, try this. Search, okay. So I'll read them out from here. From Jerry's in Bodycote, David. David is in Mombasa City, in Coastal City, and Terry's in Hitchin, and in Jedburgh from Paul Hislop. And Kenya that was as well, by the way. Jedburgh in Scotland. Hitchin, Hertfordshire. Where else have we got everybody from? Cloudy or partly cloudy Runcorn, Elstree in Hertfordshire. From Birmingham, from Daryl, and Delamere. Oh, better make Daryl a co-host as well, hadn't I? So let me find him. Where are you, Daryl? Make you a co-host as well. And we're coming up to time in just a second or two. So let me just confirm that. So where else have we got people coming in from this morning? From Southampton, from Giordana. Good morning, Giordana. From Gary, from Oxfordshire, and James from Surbiton. Marinas from Johannesburg. Helen from sunny Lancaster, and Paul. Morning, Paul. Yes, we'll look forward to that meeting, by the way, in Bramhall. Oh, and Paul, I see Paul Singleton's joining us as well. Well, I'm going to have a swig of my tea before we get going. Gosh, we've so much stuff to do today. I am really looking forward to this. I know what I should do while we're just waiting. If I go on here, then what I did with this particular one, if I go forward from there, will that work? Oh yes, and let's go back there. Oh, look at that. Look at that. We've actually got the machine working. Would you believe it? Isn't that fantastic? And the coins coming out the other end. I actually made a song to go with this, but it was a bit clattery and it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And I was a bit short of time on that. But I thought we'd have that just for a bit of fun. The lead generation machine being fueled by AI growth fuel. What a wonderful thing this is. And just for those who are interested to know these things as we're coming on to time, I made the picture in Nano Banana, and then I animated it in Leonardo using, I think it was VO3. So there we go. So if I come back to me for the moment, which is me there, which is fantastic. So let's get going. Hi, everybody. Delighted to be with you and have yet another opportunity with my great colleague, Daryl, to share with you some tried and tested and some proven ideas for how we can use AI, particularly in lead generation. So today is called, as you know, Wake Up to Qualified Leads. And why is it that? Because I'm a great believer in, unless you're running a subscription or membership program where you want a load of people coming into the top of your funnel, really, I think what most of us are looking for is a cupful of the right ones rather than a bucket full of the wrong ones. And I think that would be good because it would save us wasting our time dealing with the wrong people. So let me move on to my slides. If I can just pull those in the right place here. Excuse me 1 second. There it is. I can get that. That's wonderful. Let me do. I love all this technology. I can move that up there. I can move this around here. And here we are. So if we go back to the slides for a moment, then what we had is that was the picture I sent out to you. And as you know, we're actually talking about AI in the corner. Now, before we get started on all these things, a couple of housekeeping notes is this. And even the bluntest pencil is sharper than the sharpest memory. So I think it would probably be a good idea if you took loads and loads of notes. I don't think so. I think that would be a good idea. So I've got all my notes down here on my desk, and I'm going to be reading bits, and then I'll be speaking bits, and all the rest of us are going. So what are we doing today? Well, I'm going to be sharing with you how to gain clarity on your offering and your offer, and those two things are very different. Then crafting a single line value proposition. Then one factor that most people miss from their marketing, and the four major questions that we must ask and answer before we write any copy or any bit of persuasion. And then, if you've ever said to yourself when you're doing your marketing, will people believe me? I think that's a good idea that that happens, because I think it's what happens for most successful people. They, at the start of their journey or somewhere through the journey, they say to themselves, am I good enough for this? This typical imposter syndrome, isn't it? Will people believe me? Why would they believe me? So I think if you've ever thought that, I would take that as good news, because it means you're on the right track. And then going on from there, Daryl is going to show us how to use AI in a practical way to support lead generation with an emphasis on speed, usability, and the quality of the output rather than just theory. He's going to go through the shift in inconsistent lead generation to finally using AI as a practical tool and examples of AI slop. We hear that all the time now, don't we? AI slop, and make sure that we don't do it. And this is so you can attract those clients that you love to work with. You know the sort of people I mean. These are the people who are happy to stay, say, and pay, as Michael Bash from FedEx once said it. I think when you're dealing with the right people, price becomes a factor and not the factor. When you're dealing with the wrong people, even at the right price, they're not the right people for us. So I think we need to be very, very selective. And then right at the end of today's session, I'm going to share something with you which I don't think anybody's ever shared with you before. In fact, I'd make that as a strong claim, and you can dispute that if you like in the chat box. And it's this. I'm going to show you how to avoid the major costly and conversion spoiling mistake that most people unwittingly make because of false ideas they were taught at school. And this idea is called Prater mission. Prater mission. I'd be surprised if you've come across that before. So that's going to be right at the end. And that is a essential part of your strategy to be seen as the logical, emotional, and natural choice for your ideal client. So if that's what you came to hear about today, all of that sort of good stuff, please put me a capitalized yes with an exclamation mark in the chat box. And I'm looking at the chat box now so I can see this happen. Oh, yes, and lots of. Thank you. Thank you for that, Jeremy. Fantastic stuff. Okay, we got loads of things going on. I like it. All sorts of wonderful yeses. Fabulous. Thank you very much indeed. That is great. Then what we're going to do when we've done all that, I'm then going to talk to you about how we can continue on this journey together, if that's something you like to do, and I'll take a few minutes explaining that. So before we get going into the real content, I want to give you just a couple of moments about my background. I've been in business now. This is going to be unbelievable. How could this possibly be true? I've been in business now for 54 years. 54 years. I can't believe that. Why 54 years? I mean, it's gone by so quickly, 54 years. And I've had an absolute ball of a time. It really has. One of the most exciting things I ever did was set up a leasing company. And here it is. And it was called Compass Leasing PLC. And if my pedal would work, which I think it will if I do that again. No, it doesn't want to do that. So I'll have to do it like this. Oh, okay. Don't do it then. I'll do it myself. Excuse me a second. All right, so there's Compass Leasing PLC. There it is. You can see how long ago that was, because the phone number is 021 rather than 0121. And actually, Rachel, we're working together today after 38 years, I think it is. We've been working together. She's actually there in the picture. I haven't zoomed in for her today. I don't want to embarrass her. So what I learned at Compass Leasing PLC, which was a business I built and sold after a few years for a few million and semi-retired, and I got into that game by being a private investigator. And from being a private investigator, I got into bugging and debugging. And when I started bugging and debugging, it got me into car phones. And in car phones, people wanted leasing. And leasing, I started at Compass Leasing. Isn't it funny how these journeys take us in life? So I sold that. And in 1985, I started in 84, I received from Nightingale Conant an amazing piece of stuff. And it was this. If I can get my pedals to work, excuse me a second, get back to this. Yes, I can. And I received a promo for this program. lead the field. I wonder if anybody lead the field. This is a crinkly version, as you can see, because it's so old. And there is Earl on the back of there. And when I sold my business and asked myself, well, what do I want to do with life? I wanted to stand and speak and share my ideas because it's what I love doing, as you probably know if you know me. And so I went to Nightingale Conant and I had a program I'd created called this, which is called Action Theory. This stuff behind me, by the way, is all of my product. It's of books and audios and videos. But it's not all of it because it won't fit there, but all of that stuff is. And this was the first program I made called Action is the Key. And I went to Nightingale Conant and said, will you market this? I'd done the marketing for them as well. And they said, well, it's not our thing at the moment, Peter, but would you revoice Lead the Field for us? You see, this is the smooth one. This is the one I did. And there is me and Earl on the back. There's Earl there, and there's me here wearing a suit. Can't remember the last time I did that. Oh, and a tie and more hair. But so that's a long time ago. Look, isn't he handsome, that guy? So this is how I got into doing this. And what I learned from Earl Nightingale and being in that particular part of life is this next slide. If I can get everything to work, is this going to work? Oh, it is going to work. Will the pedal? Ah, it is fantastic. The secret of success is learning from other people. Why? Because they've already been there and done it. So I know, having got that program from Nightingale Conant, I listened to it, I applied the ideas. After all, that's all the idea of learning, isn't it? To apply the ideas. And that's how I was able, just a few years later, to sell the business for a load of cash. And then I say semi-retired because I'm really retired, ever have I. So here we are, learning from other people. This is the whole idea of it. Now, let's start off with this. If you know the answer to this question, because you've done this bit with me before, please do not put the answer in the chat box yet. But if you've not played this game before, then let me ask you this question. You might be able to guess who it is. Do we know who that is? Do we know who that is? Well, let me tell you who that man is. His name is Asa Candler. And there is a picture that I made of Asa Candler and Dr. John Pemberton. And you can see in the foreground there's a great big jam kettle, and there is a spoon, and there is a recipe. And this recipe on the table there is the recipe for Coca-Cola. And Asa Candler bought that recipe from Dr. John Pemberton, and this is what he paid for it. Let me just move this slide out of the way. And thank you for that comment, by the way, Kemi. It was sold $238 he paid, full payment of $2,300. In today's money, that would be, is this going to work? Oh, I've got a stutter on my system. Excuse me 1 second. There we go. In today's money, that'd be $74,000. And of course, as Coca-Cola is now worth $261 billion, well, that wasn't a bad return on that investment, was it? What was called, that formula was called Merchandise 7X. And Asa Candler added one thing to the formula, and that's what made Coca-Cola such a success. So let me just leave that line there for the moment. Here's a question for us. What is the difference between those who are succeeding, and I'm talking about the people in our industry, people like me and you, who help people solve problems or capitalize on opportunities? What is the difference between those who succeed and those who struggle month to month? What is that real difference? Now, I can tell you because I know the answer to that. I learned it years ago, and it's this. It is their ability to market and sell their products and services. That's what makes the difference. It isn't how good they are at doing what they do. Unfortunately, it isn't how long they've been doing it. It doesn't how many exams they've taken or things, qualifications they've got. It's got nothing to do with that. As long as they can deliver on the promise of the marketing, the difference is their ability to market and sell their products and services. And remember, as my friend Steve Bimpson says, it's market and sell, not sell and market, is it? People talk about sales and marketing. It's the wrong way around. It's marketing and sales. So going back to our friend Asa Candler there, what was it that he added to the formula for Coke? It's this: marketing. That's what made it such a success, Coca-Cola, because he added marketing. John Pemberton, Dr. John Pemberton, was a local retailer, had a drugstore. Not what we would know by a drugstore these days, but had what was called a drugstore in America. And of course, he wasn't doing the sort of marketing that Asa Candler took it and made it a worldwide success. So what he did with his marketing, he had a system. And here's a great quote that you'll know, I think, from James Clear, which is just a wonderful quote, which is, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. How true is that? Now, because we're going to talk about AI today, I thought, well, I'd just throw a few slides up that some research I did. I'll tell you what I did through Perplexity. I tend to use Perplexity for research these days. I find it's pretty good and it gives you all of the information and the sources. So here's just a few quick slides because I really want to get into some content for you straight away on a sort of big picture when it comes to AI adoption. Their slides are pretty easy to read and they're self-explanatory. So I'm just going to pick up odd bits there. You can see that sort of, and the one I like is on the right hand side. In less than 24 months, AI has gone from experiment to everyday business tool. Amazing stuff going on in the marketplace. 67% more leads with far fewer of the wrong ones, or the wrong uns, as I tend to call them. Average leads, 40% reduction in unqualified leads, 40% reduction, and 28% average cost per lead reduction as well. I mean, amazing stuff. 36% of marketing spend now goes directly into lead generation, and most budgets aimed at AI-powered programs. Lead scoring lifts conversion by 20 to 30%. And the next one, personalization at scale. What AI makes possible? You can see I'm reading for you now for the recording. 82% more opens for personalized emails versus generic, and 6 times more transactions generated. 42% lift in conversion from personalized calls to action versus one size fits all CTA, call to action, or as we often use, CTV, call to value, which is a whole different concept for another day. So the question is no longer should we use AI? The question is, how far behind can we afford to fall? Now, let's get into some content here that you can use straight away. 3 major questions I want you to answer, because this will give you great information. You can do these in AI, by the way, as well, but this will give you a real understanding of what it is when you're dealing with your client, of how to position your lead generation. The first question we ask ourselves is, what do they, meaning the potential client, what do they want most? And because it's a superlative, most, not more than something else, what do they want most? We can only have one thing, just the one thing, can't we? One thing. So what do they want most? Just think about that as I'm going through this at the moment. Thinking about your ideal client that you would love to deal with on a long-term basis, they'd stay, say, and pay. What do they want most? Second question, this will really help with your lead generation. Why do they want it? What is that emotion of the 3 major emotions there? You know, the main 2, of course, we talk about them all the time, about away and towards motivation. This is the third one as well. But why is it they want what it is they want most? And then the third question is this: what would stop them buying it or buying into it if it was a conversation you were having with somebody? So what do they want most? Why do they want it? And what would stop them buying? Great questions to answer for lead generation. In fact, for any conversation or any meeting of importance. Here's how to position yourself in the market. Define the big problem you solve for your client and then craft a single line value proposition. A single line value proposition. Here it is. I help ideal client achieve desired outcome without major concern or fear. I mean, isn't that a simple formula? I mean, that's almost as good. If you think of, you may have heard of Blair Warren and one sentence persuasion. Have you ever heard of that? People will do anything for those who will encourage their dreams, justify their failures, allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, and help them throw rocks at their enemies. Isn't that just a wonderful piece of copy? People will do anything for those who will encourage their dreams, justify their failures, allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, and help them throw rocks at their enemies. I mean, talk about a formula for writing powerful stuff. Absolutely fantastic. So let's go back to our ideal client desired outcome. So this is how you would write it as a headline if you were wanting to put something out in the marketplace, like say a piece of content. How to get A and B without X or even Y. I mean, there's the formula. How to get A and B. And these are what those A and B and etc. means. A is a major benefit. B is the hidden benefit, as taught to me by Ted Nicholas. Sadly, he's no longer with us, but Ted Nicholas, what an amazing man, the $6 billion man they used to call him in marketing. And he taught me the whole concept of talking about the hidden benefit or the second level benefit. When I was doing some seminars in Hong Kong, and I spoke to the people I was doing it with, the Hong Kong Management Association, and I said, for Hong Kongers, what is the major driver? And immediately they said, respect. So when I was writing the copy for the marketing for those events, I went 3 times. I was talking about a course I was doing about marketing, but I made the hidden benefit respect, and I did one on communication skills, and again made the hidden benefit respect. So what's the major benefit? What's the hidden benefit? What's the biggest peril, pitfall, or problem that you know somebody runs into? And what's that secondary concern? Here's a very quick example. For ourselves, if we're out in the marketplace, how to command higher fees and more respect without feeling pushy, salesy, or uncomfortable in client conversations. I mean, there's a very simple way, isn't it? So there's an immediate thing you can take away. Next bit. The power of your human face. Are you using faces in your marketing? I use that face and that picture, which I generated with AI, Nano Banana, as part of the marketing for this course. And there was a different version I could have used. Watch the face of the woman. You see the difference between those two, can't you? Let me just go back again. Okay, this is one's called the averted gaze and one's called the direct gaze. So which ad sells more, the direct gaze or the averted gaze? Well, here's the deal. Not many people know this, you know. If the product is aspirational, use models looking away. If the product is functional, use models looking at the camera. However, you need to be careful with this. If you get someone to look away, I'm looking now straight in the lens, but if you get someone to look away, you may distract. Sorry, if you get them looking straight at the camera, they may distract because of the human face attraction from the copy. You've got to be very careful where you use it, and maybe you use two. We did some tests years ago using a lookalike Jennifer Aniston. We used to call her Jennifer. We found this picture and we did a test. And we did a test between Jennifer on the top of a piece of email marketing, nothing on the top of a piece of email marketing, and me on the top. We tried that three-way test. Jennifer came first, nothing came second, and I came third. No, it's not true. It's not true. Jennifer came first, I came second, and nothing. So even with my face beats nothing. So really important, isn't it? Now, here's 4 questions we need to answer. You gather I go fairly quickly with this stuff because it's obvious. I'd make it as simple as possible. I'm sure you can take this away and use it. Here's 4 questions we really must answer before we write anything. Here they are. Number 1, who am I? If you don't answer these questions before you write copy, trust me, you won't get the best copy you could possibly write. So who am I? We need to understand who we are. Let me give you an example of this. Where are we time? Oh, we're just perfectly on time. Okay, so if I come back to me for a moment, right, there's my answer to that question, who am I? A piece of A4, right? The second question is this, right? Who are they, right? So there's mine, turn that over. There's mine, who are they? So good clarity. And then going back again, who am I to them? There's mine there. And who are they to me? Right, there's mine there. I'll come back to the previous one. Who am I to them? Just to give you an idea, because that's a hard one to answer. The way I think of it is this. To the people I deal with is I am Uncle Peter, their favourite uncle. I always tell them the truth, want their success maybe for them more than they want it, and push them to be the best they can be because I'm a mentor, not a coach. I do care how people feel, but I don't mind how they feel if I can help them be more successful because that's what they've asked me to do. So who am I? Who are they? Who am I to them? And who are they to me? And when you answer those 4 questions, boy, do you make life easy to write good copy. This is the final bit I'm going to share with you before we go and talk to Daryl. And here is an idea. There's a disc. I actually came out on cassette originally. And what a strange thing I'm saying on there. How to lower your response rate. I don't know about you, but going back to what I said at the start, I don't want a bucket full. I want a cup full of the right ones. And sometimes when we're aware of that and we know that we want to deal with clients, not customers, clients being relational, customers being transactional. So I deal with relational clients, not necessarily transactional customers. You understand the difference? We'd go in more detail another time. Then I want to minimize the response, right? So when I first put that disc out there, it was originally as a CD, then a disc. It was once upon a time, it was Two Frogs, that was called. I put that out in the marketplace in 2 ways. 1, people had to ask for it, and 2, I sent it to just check the difference. And by the way, I then learnt that you don't send your stuff out to people unless they've asked for it. It saves you a fortune. You get better quality leads. The whole idea with that one was to minimize the number of people who responded. Why? Because I put a number of hurdles in play. You had to write to me and ask for it. And then when you'd got it, I would write to you. You had to go and take a survey before I would speak to you. And did that reduce things? Yes, it did. But the people I spoke to, the conversion rate was through the roof. Isn't that just absolutely fascinating? Yeah, what a good idea. Let me come back to my notes here. If everything would open this morning, will it open this morning? I think it will. Yes, it does. Well, okay, here we go. I just want to tell you a little bit about Daryl, and because I wrote it down, I want to say it well because it's so important to do it with Daryl. So let me come back to me. Okay, I'm just going to look down, read these bits out for you. So as we know, Daryl is my friend. We've been friends now and working together, I think 6 or 7 years. I first appeared on his podcast and he and I just got on like a house on fire. He is a digital marketing strategist, an AI business growth expert, and the founder of Scale DM, which is a multi-award winning SEO and AI agency known for delivering measurable growth for established brands and ambitious SMEs. He's got 16 years experience. He's worked with companies like Dell Technologies, Thomas Fasserini, German Doner Kebab. He's won 14 industry awards. I'll tell you some of them. Most innovative digital growth solutions provider 2026. I mean, we're only 3.5 months in, aren't we? Alongside Scale DM being named as the best digital marketing agency 2025 and winning best use of marketing data at the Marketing Awards. He was also a finalist for Marketing Leader of the Year. He's the founder of DMJ Publishing and Biz Growth with AI, and he helps people, and he helps me, that's for sure, understand AI and actually use it. I'm not going to talk about what he's going to talk about. I'm going to pass it over to him. But here's how I talk about Daryl. He knows the answers to the questions I don't even know to ask him. I am so fortunate I get to spend so much time with him every week. Pin back your luggles. Here he comes, my very good friend and genius, Daryl James. Over to you, Daryl. I will just move all this and so I can spotlight you. Excuse me a second. Give me a second. Are you going to work like that, or are you going to want to come on screen as well? You tell me what you want. You happy like this? Okay, you far away.
Gemini to Claude, for instance, and you might be using some of these today yourself. When I speak to many businesses that are currently doing things like this, they're saying, write me a sales email for my coach business, description for instance. Just these simple words, 6 words, no context, no idea of the audience, and memory. The best thing that you can do is give as much details as possible. He's talking many different conversations that ideas you pursue. So here's what came back from this. Does that look familiar? The type of email that happens in inboxes all the time, hundreds of times a day, and hundreds of times a day, it just gets deleted. People don't read it. And this is what people mean when they say speaking their voice, as we mentioned. So yes, choose to refer to content, also messaging with your potential clients and things. This time you can define audience, as you can see here. It's very important as well. You want to capture people you can take a screenshot of this if you wanted to use it in the future. It's just amazing. Also give you the expectations list, if you will. So you can see here, this email is a lot more specific and tailored. The difference between needs and response. This business A, business B, how much context and information you add into it, how you tell it, how you work with it. I like it. One is research, which will take a look at you. Number two is analysis, which is using custom GPTs. These days, ChatGPT. So a show tool that you can use within as well. It is a completely optional. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. As an example, you have certain usage limits and things with all of them, basically. Change how you operate the business for that. Essentially, these two. So, okay, it's free, it's paid, but once we use it on the free plan, you can upload your documents, you research your competitors, you website, you content, you working business, and then you can update as well with yours. So we have custom GPTs or really can train AI this to instructions. What you tend to use to communicate with your audience. A lot of people have essentially are still surprised how many clients I speak to and they've never seen this ChatGPT. They just use it in a small typical generic way. It's going to be using and category features as you can now categorize some of your notebooks into various themes. But if I go to create new, for instance, we have this page here. This is what I use and speak to research about audience, the pain points, frustrations, desires. You can also for your business, for instance, then you can simply just copy text. So here's a quick example. This so as you can see here, sources specific, just shoot it, research, just to kind of get you understanding something that you know a frustration that one of our clients may have. I managed to get resources to the document. Now, some of these you have to go through them, and some of these might not be what you need in this case. Some information about coding and being able to use certain results. For instance, I was using which is audio instructions. So you can do things that you can ask, so you can ask information about that you so in this case, if this was something that you was doing for your clients, then you about your conferences, then you could ask it questions about that. You can also do things like audio overviews, like video previews, and so much more. Now, for cutting time, I'm just gonna quickly go to ChatGPT, but if you utilize this tool for overview, research, and any form of interaction with your material. One of the things about this is that this, and then they was able to understand the book a bit better and get a kind of review of the book before they put it out. So they got rid of the draft of the book and then got this to speak about what's missing, what might be included, what is without, what is not without, etc. So you be ChatGPT, as I mentioned, custom GPTs. So once you come to the screen, to the login screen of creating a custom GPT, you can then add information about your company to the knowledge base. This is how you get ChatGPT to speak like you. You may give it information about your messaging tone and positioning, for instance, your website copy, your customer avatar, business strategy, all of these things you can add in. So case studies and things that you need things like reach and nurturing things like that, as well as providing content. And essentially, you need opportunity there give a description, but it will have the description of anything you want to use, and then last and most important is the instructions. How should it work with the data that you've given it, and how should it function? And that says you kind of use this as almost a second brain for me as well. And just a tip as well, if you are using this, if you're using ChatGPT, for instance, then it's on the latest one, thinking. So you do have other versions. I usually use thinking. Five was the latest one, and thinking. So always choose that as well for that. Let's move on to the main demo. So if we are going to do this right now, we need to have perspective connected. All I did is I went to customers, went to connectors, which is a tool in this is called by the way, to perspective. All you do, you connect it, and then once you've connected it and just logged into, it's very, very simple, very quick registration if you haven't done it so far. All that happens is we go into the continue. I've done this before, as you can see. So then what we do is we go onto a new chat, we get connected, and we're going to say something like this. This might change for you depending on what you need. So we'll put in today for this example. 100 business owners and founders of UK-based professional services, companies in coaching, consulting, training, and business advisory. These must be small to medium businesses with 1 to 50 employees. Only include decision makers with titles such as owner, founder, managing director, or director. And I'm using the WordPress 4.6 extended model. You can do this in some. Sometimes I have to go back and forth so much with it. Sometimes it's just better to use the top model for you to understand. So when you press that, it's loading the tools. It's looking for all of the tools that I have connected within it. So I wouldn't do this if I didn't have certain tools connected to so you can see I'm searching through. Yep, done that automatically by itself. I've connected it to views. It's basically shows that my prospect literally already connected. If you're on Claude, then this again is free. The Vibe Prospecting is a paid plan. It's free, and then you move on to a paid plan. That's doing that, and then you can ask me use this connector. So as it loads to connect it. Yeah, okay, so that's connected to it. Just for time today, we might have to just show you the blue Peter that has been done. As we you will hopefully can see the process like this as it's going. It's usually a bit quicker than this. You probably use any form of criteria that you want to put it in for the people that you are looking for. This is quite generic for everybody to be able to grasp the concept of it. Let's do that. So here's the thing, when you do things in life, sometimes it takes a little bit longer than you expect. So for some reason that's loading correctly. Let's see what it's saying to do. This usually loads. It's for some reason needs to be reconnected. We also have another version that we have. This is a little bit Blue Peterish. Just bring this screen over here for you, and you can see what it outputted. So basically, after you went through the various types, it came back with this spreadsheet here. Let's just make that a little bit wider for you. As you can see here, just that particular point, it came through so many different things. So you can understand this thing with a which you can go through and check and just make sure you got all if you need to. Let's see the state, the comments, the country. Experiences what it came up with as well. So again, you might want to upload this spreadsheet, for instance, that it came up with 100 leads. You might want to upload this to ChatGPT or to Gemini or to and say, can you messages rather so I can connect with them on LinkedIn, also that I can outreach them about my latest product. So that's a very quick demo on that. And just want to say to you that, yeah, some questions is where they came from, and to get the more agentic style, doing the work for us, which we'll definitely talk more about. Peter, back to you.
Wonderful, Dal. Thank you very much indeed. And you've switched that off, so that was great. I know we went through there fairly quickly. Good job you've done a Blue Peter one. And somebody asked, will we get a badge? But of course we'll get a badge. That's always the case. Fantastic stuff. And I think you mentioned as well when we were chatting earlier that you would get the phone number, you'd get the email, you'd get the LinkedIn. So you get all of the necessary information to be able to use that for your marketing, which is just perfect. Thank you, Daryl, very much indeed. So moving on from there, if I come onto my slides then here, Let's go back here just one more, I think. If we go back there. So we're on to our lead generation machine. And I just wanted to share with you some information. I'm obviously going to get my iPad to stop closing all the time. So here it is. I went to see Ted Nicholas in Switzerland, and I drove past a little village called Neuchâtel on the way to see him. And there was some history about Neuchâtel that I learnt, and this is it. It was in 1967 in the Swiss town of Neuchâtel that engineers at the Centre Électronique Horloger, if I've pronounced that correctly, invented the quartz wristwatch. The Swiss, the people who dominated watchmaking for centuries, they didn't miss the future, they invented it. They put the quartz watch on display at the 1967 World Watch Congress, and the wider industry showed a mild interest to it. However, just 2 years later, Seiko launched their Astron, which was the first commercially produced quartz crystal wristwatch. And then companies like Texas Instruments came up, and they produced their watches and sold them at a fraction of the price of a Swiss watch. Why? Because it was a mechanical timepiece. And the Swiss watch industry entered what was called their quartz crisis. Their quartz crisis. And this is what happened. Between 1970 and 1988, just 18 years, not long in business terms, from 90,000 people employed in the watch industry in Switzerland, it fell to 30,000 people. 60,000 people lost their jobs because of what had happened. And it wasn't because they didn't see the technology, because they'd already invented it. It wasn't because they didn't understand it. They built a prototype. Here's why. Please make a mental note of this. It is so important. The quartz watch didn't fit their identity. That's what stopped them. It didn't fit who they are. Their world was built on mechanical craftsmanship, heritage, precision. And if you know me well enough, an expression I've used for years and years since I wrote it years ago. People will never consistently do who they aren't. Now, who they are is their identity. And the Swiss were stuck in that identity. Now, I came across this information many, many years ago, probably 30 years ago, when I first met Joe Abraham. He'd got a video by Joel Barker, the futurist, called The Business of Paradigms. And I contacted Joel and I met him online and I interviewed him for my Achievers Edge program, the one, as you can see there behind me. And what a great guy it is. And he came up with this expression, and so important to everything we do. When the paradigm shifts, and it did shift in the watch industry, when the paradigm shift, everybody goes back to zero. Regardless of reputation, regardless of track record, regardless of how long you've been in business, everyone goes back to zero. So important, because I believe this. At the moment, AI is our quartz moment. It's our quartz moment. So, over the next couple of weeks or so, Daryl and I are running a lead generation and beyond program. It's a 3-week program. I'm going to give you the details in a moment, and I'm going to surprise you about one part of it as well. And so the question is, would you like some more qualified leads? And if the answer is yes, which I think it is, then here's what we're going to be talking about, right? It's lead generation and beyond, AI, more clients, more easily, more often. 3-part program over 3 weeks, each session 90 minutes plus, and this is the important bit, Q&A session. You know, I love learning indirectly, in the sense of I like reading books, I like attending webinars and all the rest of it, and I like going for online courses and YouTube. However, unless it's live, and remember, it's only live once, unless it's live, you don't get Q&A. You don't get Q&A live. So what we're going to be doing with this is, yes, there's 90 minutes of various information, which I'm going to tell you about in a moment or two. But there's also this most important part is the Q&A. So you can ask your question and say, well, hang on a minute, Daryl, you said about that. How do I actually do that bit? Can you go a bit slower on that and do this? And can you tell me how would I do it in my business? So this is just a critical part, is the Q&A part of it. So this is what we're going to be doing. You discover how to generate targeted prospects and outreach. You can see this, and also create messaging and content that feels natural, relevant and personal, not robotic. And I know how I do that. I do it in Claude. I've got a project set up in Claude, and every time it writes something, I critique it and feed it back, and I give it a report. And I do that iterative process. Now, I tell you what, Claude can nigh on right like me. I make occasional changes to it, but boy, is it close to how I write, because I've spent time training it. It's a bit like if you've got a new employee in your business, you wouldn't give them some information and say, go and write me a letter, I'm going to send it out to all my clients. You would look at it and you train them and say, oh, look, I don't use that expression. I tend to use, I use don't rather than do not, or whatever it might be. So important. So you're going to discover how to use AI to support, you can read for yourself what it is, an ongoing communication. We're going to be doing how to build your own AI setup, including tools such as Custom GPT and Claude. Daryl showed me how to build tools. I've now created my own apps, which sync across my phone, my iPad, and my Mac, because I've learned how to do it. And trust me, if I can do it, you can do it. That's for sure, right? And this is the other thing that comes with it. There's going to be the recordings of all the sessions, and there's going to be the transcripts, and there's going to be the summaries, and there's going to be a separate audio track so you can stick it in on your phone and listen in the car, and there's going to be templates for everything. Here are the dates, but with the dates, remember, they're all Thursdays, they're all 9:30 to 11 in the morning. If you can't make one, you've got the recording as well. Yes, it's better live, but if there's one of them you can't make, not to worry. And then there's a load of bonuses, value 195, which are the recording of all the sessions, the transcripts, the templates, and this special book from Daryl. Now, why do I say those bonuses are all 195? Here's why. Because, as you would expect, knowing me well enough, we will take these recordings over the 3 weeks and we'll make a program. And we'll be selling that program in the marketplace, and there will be the recordings. There won't be the Q&A because that's our bit. On the live bit, there won't be the Q&A, but there will be all the bonuses that are there. And so this is how it's going to work. This is the pricing. The ticket price is £100. The bonuses are £195, which is a total of £295. But because you're turning up, helping us make the program, then you don't pay that, obviously. So you only have to pay £100. That's all you pay. You pay £100, but you get it all anyway. So there's the QR code. There's the link to go and do it. And while you go and do that, and I urge you to come and join us on this, right, for £100 over this 3 weeks. That's not £100 a week, by the way. That's £100 for the whole 3 weeks, and all the bonuses, and all the recordings, and the Q&A session. So while you go and do that, I'm just going to tell you what happens each week. You can sort of hear in the background while you're doing it. Right? And I think, Rachel, you've put that link in as well, haven't you? You put that in the chat box, which is great. So in session 1, what's possible with AI for lead gen, over to tools, mindset, quick wins, and there are some quick wins. How to plan the customer journey, including a take on Newton's third law. We'll be looking at motivations in which we can test. Obviously Q&A as well. Session 2, hands-on with AI, creating content, automating outreach, building your lead generation system. I'm reading it all out, of course, as you gather for the recording. And then I'll be talking about systemizing your offering, and the difference between offering and offer, and why the word system is powerful but fraught with danger in marketing and sales. And then session 3, putting it all together, review, action plans, clarity, the future, etc., and Q&A. And language patterns, those that work, those that don't, and how to be the most powerful, persuasive, and personable in all your communications, and Q&A. So absolutely fantastic. Link in the chat works. So if you've got a problem with the QR code, then there's obviously a link in the chat box as well. So that is there. So I urge you, go and do that while I have a swig of my tea, and then I'm going to talk to you about this fantastic idea about Praetor Mission. And which is just fantastic and fascinating. So you don't need any more from me. You know me well, and if I say it works, it works. And of course, if you've been there for the first week and it's not for you, you just tell us and we'll send you the £100 back. Of course we will. It's £100 plus VAT, of course. The government want their bit. But you know me well enough. You can trust me on that. So, but I think you're going to love it, which is why I would obviously offer the guarantee for you. So let me have a swig of my tea while you're just finishing off signing up. Oh, perfect timing. Just perfect timing. Great. So here we go. Yes, we're there. We're good on there. Moving on then. Here's an expression you'll have heard before. You have to be heard to be believed. Of course, it's true. It must be true because people can't hear you necessarily. But here's what's better. You have to be believed to be heard. It's so important. This is where pretermission comes in just a minute. And I'll explain what pretermission means in just a moment or two. Right. So this is the neuroscience of trust. As you can see, credible sources, if you are perceived as credible, it activates reward processing. If you're perceived as non-credible, it triggers error monitoring. In other words, people are looking out to catch you out on what was wrong. So important, right? So important. So messages from credible sources are processed with less cognitive effort. Of course it is. It's simple. It makes it easy. More likely to be recalled. Easier to understand and accept. And more influential in decision making. I mean, wow, wouldn't we do everything to make sure that we are credible? So where does this come into play? Let me tell you a story. Way back in 1998, I launched the Achiever's Edge over there. And I wrote an 8-page sales letter. And I put with it some testimonials about stuff I'd done as well. I did a reply paid envelope. I did an order form. I did the whole pack, the outer envelope. I mean, imagine trying to put this in the post today. And I did a 20,000 mailer. 20,000 mailer cost me £20,000. There's £1 in the mail, everything including the postage. I mean, postage today is like £2 first class, heavens above. If you did that exercise, it'd be 60,000, by the way. But then it was £20,000. And before I sent it out, I thought, hang on a minute, who can I send it to prove that I've got it right? And I sent it to Stuart Goldsmith, who was a friend of mine, multimillionaire, successful marketer, started as a radio engineer with the BBC, made himself a fortune. Great copywriter, fantastic copywriter. He actually brought out the Golden Mailbox with Ted Nicholas. They were the two who wrote it. I bought the rights for that program some years later. I sent it to Stuart, and Stuart said, "You made a mistake." And I said, "Oh, what mistake have I made?" And he said, he didn't say pretermission because we didn't use that word then, but there is the word for you. It's pretermission. There it is. And this is the mistake I made. I spoke about the program. I spoke about the benefits of the program. I spoke about what people had to do. And then I spoke about me. And Stuart said, "You've got to speak about yourself sooner. Much sooner." Why? Because you have to be believed to be heard. Here's 4 questions you need to answer, and these are in the right order. I'd got them in those days in the wrong order. These are the questions you need to ask. When you're writing, you answer. When you write to somebody, you've got to tell them why you. Immediately up front in your message, you've got to say why it is for them. Why is that? Because you don't want someone to receive your message and go, "Oh, is it for me? Is this for me? Is this spam?" You don't want them thinking that. You want them to think, not a question, but a statement. "Oh, it's for me." That's what you want. That's the response you want. Somebody reads your subject line. And by the way, there's a big difference between subject line and headlines. People confuse subject lines. They think it's a headline. The subject line is the teaser copy on the outside envelope. It's an email. It's an envelope. The envelope subject line is on the envelope. It's not the message. Right? Then when you get into the message, that's why you put headlines on marketing emails, because it's a piece of direct mail. You use the same formulas with pictures and telling people why it's for that. You've got it. So you've got to tell people immediately why you. And then the second one, surprisingly, then this is pretermission. So pretermission means you've missed it out, by the way. So we don't want to make that mistake. You've then got to say, why me? Before you tell anybody what it's about, you've got to tell them why it's you first. Then you've got to say that. Then they'll believe you. It's like failing to put your picture on the back of your book or the front of your book. People want to see your face. They want to know it's you. So why you? Then why me? And then why this? And then why now? That's appropriate. So it's that simple, isn't it? So why you? Why me? Why this? Why now? I know I can record videos just with those 8 words. If I know what I'm going to talk about, then I can just simply start off and say, if you're like me and you've been struggling to get qualified leads into the top of your marketing, ... right? And then I'm going to say, this is the problem I had. So then I'll say, and I solved it. And you get this. You understand, you're in the game. You realize how this works. But don't do why you, why this, why now, why me. Go, why you, why me. That will change how you communicate massively, and it's so important. And we were taught at school not to be like that, and it's wrong. We've got to be strong about that. Here's something else that's really important to us. I learnt this from Professor Robert Cialdini, who I met and interviewed in London. Lovely guy. 3 important things in being the authority figure: title, trappings, and clothing. Do you have a title? And by title these days, I don't mean the professor bit, although that is a great title. It's the strapline. It's a strapline. When you've got your name and it says Peter Thompson, you don't want someone to say, Peter Thompson, who the hell is that? You've got to tell people who you are. You know, the UK's most prolific business development author. That's a good one. Or how about turns your knowledge, experience, and expertise into ongoing streams of cash? That's another good one. So your title can be what you do, who you are, or the benefit somebody gets. What you do, who you are, or the benefit somebody gets, or a combination of those three. But if you don't say it, they don't know it. Trappings. What's trappings? Got to be an author these days. Must be an author, even if it's only for a report, but preferably a book. Website is trappings. Funny if your car is trappings, rightly or wrongly. We are judged by our trappings. And clothing. Do we judge a book by the cover? Absolutely we do. Should we? Not necessarily, but we always do. That's why they dress the prisoners in the bar, in the court. They dress them well, don't they? Got a suit and tie, and all that. Might be the first time they ever did it, because of the way the human brain looks at people. When it sees somebody and looks at a person in the dock, they decide if they are guilty or innocent. That's what our brains do. And then we listen out in the evidence for the information that proves our first opinion was correct. So important, all of this stuff, isn't it? So look, we've been through lead generation. We're coming up to half past. So remember, this is what this is all about. It's the lead generation program. It's 3 weeks, sessions 90 minutes, and Q&A. And you know me well enough. I stay and answer the questions. You're going to get all of the recordings of all the sessions, the transcripts, the audio, the summary, the templates, the resources, etc. You're going to get a copy of Daryl's latest book, and it's not going to be £295. It's going to be £100. So whilst you're doing that, and everybody else has already done that, because I see there's a load of people who've joined already, thank you very much indeed. Let me ask you this question, and I want you to put your answer in the chat box, please. And I actually am able to bring that on screen for you. So, question. Out of everything we've done today, and hasn't that hour gone quickly, by the way? My face has gone red because I'm so hot and excited. Of everything we've done so far today, what's the one or more key thing or things you've learnt because you didn't know it, you've relearnt because you did know it? Always a good idea to come and relearn things. Or it's something you went, yes, Daryl, yes, Peter, I'm going to take it away and use it. One of those things in the chat box, please. Right, so let's go so quickly. From James then, why you, why me? From Graham, Vibe Proding, never heard before. Graham, I tell you what, it is fantastic. I better crack myself on it. It's really good, okay? From Clinton, Vibe, you have Vibe as well from Clinton. Let me bring that one up. From David, thank you, David, presentation. Thank you for your comment earlier. Why you, why me first? Exactly. What is possible from Rach? Paul, his use of different AI platforms. Mike, I'm surprised you weren't aware of vibe coding, or perhaps or prospecting, as the case may be. I know you're up to date with these things. From Kemi, pray to mission, indeed. You've spelled it that way as well, so have I. And from Keith, yes, pray to mission. I'd actually put it AE. Keith was the way I came across it. I don't know which way. And I've also seen it spelt without the A in the middle. A and B without X or Y. It's just a simple process, Ben, isn't it? It's a lovely one. And pray to mission also from Paul. David Vivas, if I can do it, you certainly can. Well, that's for sure, David. Thank you. I know you're smiling when you say that. The importance of AI going forward from Terry. Thank you, Terry. Giordana, AI won't replace people. Humans with AI will replace humans without AI. It's a lovely quote, isn't it? Leslie, good morning, Leslie. Lower your response rate and everything Daryl said. Thank you very much indeed. Oh, John, good morning, John. Face orientation, wasn't that just fascinating? Interesting stuff. We know some good stuff, you know. And this, of course, is a fraction in this hour, which is whizzed on by. You know, come and join us for these sessions. We're going to have so much fun with this, to tell you, with a serious intent. Deep dive into what can be done with Claude, more than what's already been using it for. Oh, that's good. And Andrew, I haven't seen you for a long time. AI still scares the hell out of me, but there is a possible solution. Andrew, I seem to remember scaring the hell out of you, but you found the way through it and succeeded beyond what most people dreamed would be possible. Well done, you. Notebook LM, indeed, David. I love Notebook LM, particularly for making infographics. And Bill's there. Daryl's use of AI tools. Thank you, Bill. And Arthur, the potential and the need to take action, and then using AI to improve your thinking. We've got all of these things, and from Paul, thank you, Paul, pray to mission. Now, while we are there, I've got on my, let me come back to me here. Thank you. Let me just take that one off. Thank you, Paul. I've got just a couple of questions. I've got a few minutes to answer a couple of questions. Most of these we've answered already, but just in case we haven't, I've got them written down. There's the link again from Rachel. I urge you, if you have not summed up, if you've not signed up yet for this, thank you, Paul. If you've not signed up yet for this, trust me, for £100, and Daryl, come and join us. You will love it. If you think this was good in this short time, and you gather it was at a bit of a gallop, then we're going to have far more time and relaxing understanding and lots of questions and answers. That'll be it, which would be wonderful. Oh, good. I'm going to see people have booked that. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Paul Dunn. I really appreciate that from you. Wonderful. So, Mike Hicks, you said this. I think Darryl was going to answer this, but Darryl, I'm just going to take over for the moment. Think of AI as the writer and CRM as the publisher, Mike. You say, how are you connecting the CRM and mailing list to AI support? So if you think of AI as the writer and the CRM as the publisher, we use AI to create the content, the sequences, and the follow-up messages, then pipe them into the CRM via tools like ActiveCampaign or Go High Levels, APM Make, etc. They're the bridges. So you don't need to rebuild anything, just add AI to the front end of what you've already got. I hope that made sense. Steve Neal asked about three simple step-by-step to fully automate lead gen using AI. Well, that's what we're going to do over the 3 weeks, Steve. I didn't think it was possible for us to do all of that. Paul Singleton, I know you were there, Paul. How to identify which tool to use and learn to use efficiently. I mean, the answer to this, Paul, really is start with one, either Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, I would suggest, because most of them will handle 80% of what you want. We've got a conversation coming up, Paul. If you want me to spend a few minutes going through one of them for you, I will happily show you what I've learned. I don't have all the answers, as you know. James Robertson, yes. Answer your question, James, about your ideal client, CEO, mid-sized company. You're already doing the right thing. CEOs buy from people they trust, and referrers are trust proxies. Along with that, write content that positions you as the go-to expert for CEOs. John in Perth. John says in Perth, I've been coaching clients on the target market message media measure strategy for years. It still works. But the challenge today is getting people's attention. How do you stop people scrolling? Right. Well, if you stop people scrolling, you're talking about interrupt marketing, and therefore you've got to do sometimes crazy things or something that catches attention. There are other ways, but let's talk about the other ways first, and that is writing really good headlines. And I gave you an example of it today, how to get X and Y without Z or A, that type of thing. Remember, when you're writing that headline, you can talk about the benefit that somebody gets. These are 3 simple ways for headlines. The benefit that somebody gets, curiosity, or something in the news, right? And you can also be an outlier, right? So you can say things that shock people, but be careful and make sure that it matches with your brand. We'll talk more about headlines because it is part of doing that type of stuff. But to give you an idea, I'll just take a couple of seconds for this and I move that. This is my headline, right? This is my headline file, okay? And in that drawer, which I've just taken off, there's about twice as much again of this. So there'll be some of those things we'll be going through to help you with. Let me just close that drawer out of the way. Yeah, so good headlines, or you occasionally do shocking things. You know, you could have a phone and you could drop it. It happened in the first couple of seconds. I did one about lead generation years ago with one of my colleagues. I said, wouldn't it be great if we had some more leads? And I put my hand out and he threw a load of electrical leads at me. And we rehearsed it so I didn't have to look and catch it. I'll move over here a bit. So I went, boomf, and caught these leads and went, not these type of leads, and threw them away. And that was just the shock value at the start of the video. So again, it's got to match with who you are. You know, I'm crazy, so I do crazy things. So hopefully that will help you. Where are we time wasted, which is good. Rachel, you're going to answer this one. What is the best AI tool to help create a LinkedIn presence and attract genuine leads? There she is. Let me find her. Lovely. And will you give us an update on your experiments on the 3-week course? Excellent stuff. Okay, Rach, that's great. Thank you very much indeed. Let me move that there. I can't believe we've worked together for 38 years. God, it's just not possible. I mean, I look old enough, but Rachel doesn't. What else have we got to answer here? Okay, I think this is right. This is Chris Jones. When doing cold email outreach, what's the best strategy for subject lines? Make it sound familiar, vague, or don't write one at all and let the first sentence do the work. I think you've got to have a subject line, because as I mentioned earlier, that is the copy, sometimes called taster, sometimes called teaser copy, on the outside of the envelope, and it only has one job, and its job is to get the envelope opened, in email terms, to get the email opened so somebody reads it. So again, you can come back to curiosity, you can come back to being outreach, off the edge a bit, you can come to personal interest, you can come to news, you can come to benefits, all sorts of different ways of doing it. Here's just a couple of extra tips. I like to put people's first name in the subject line. Now, if you're going to do a little edgy marketing, and I've done it, but I wouldn't say I do it very often, you can just put their first name in the subject line. Most people will open that. My friend Jason Jackman, who's an amazing copywriter, said this to me one day on a seminar we were doing. He was talking copywriting. He said, I can get anybody to open any email. In fact, I guarantee they'll open it. And I said, how do you do that, Jason? He said, well, let me give an example using you, Peter. I said, go on then. He said, the subject line will say, this email is all about Peter Thompson. I bet you'd open it. I mean, if that's the ultimate, we just have to get that close. So if you can put somebody's name and then tell them a benefit or something of interest or something in the news that's relevant, so that's one way. If you're marketing a webinar, you might put just in capitals at the start of the subject line, webinar. And if people are on your list particularly and they understand you do webinars, then that alone will get people to answer. Right? I have done the little first name only, which is a classic piece of email marketing sometimes called the 9-word email, sometimes called the 11-word email, which is just put the person's first name in the email, and then in the body copy you say hi or dear, whichever you use. I use hi, first name, are you still ... So we've done it in the past going, are you still waiting to write your business book, Peter? And that's all the email is. And we've had amazing response rates to that, but we can talk about all of these things over the 3 weeks. So look, I'm going to call it a day there. Thank you for all of these amazing comments. I really appreciate that. I know Daryl appreciates it well. Daryl, thank you so much for another fantastic session. I'm really looking forward to the 3 week and going into that in great detail. Obviously, we've got that one, which we've done. We did have this slide, which I made, but I never showed you. But anyway, there it was, especially for today, being as I made it. But going back to there is the QR code. I'm not sure if that's working at the moment, but there is the link as well. And Rachel's put it in the chat box. Please come and join it, and we will have fun with a serious intent. Paul, thank you very much indeed. Let me just come back to me on this, and then I can bring these up. Where's my mouse disappeared to? I've got 3 screens, and sometimes the mouse disappears. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's great. Okay, James, great stuff. Thank you, James, for bringing that. Okay, Paul. Look forward to meeting up soon. Indeed, looking forward to that. Yes, thank you, Bill. Thanks very much indeed. Oh, John's there. Good morning, John. Thank you very much indeed, John. Lovely to see you. David, indeed, from over there. I think was it Kenya? I think it was. And Jerry, lovely to see you. Jerry, see you on the 3 week. Mike, good to see you too. Hope everything's good in France. And Leslie, always love to see you here. Thank you, Leslie. And Paul, thank you, Paul. Thank you for those comments. Thank you, Kemi, and thank you for your previous comment. Thanks, Wim. And Gary, good to see you. Look forward to seeing you on 30th, indeed. And Clinton, my old friend. Man, you're still looking young. Clinton, fabulous session indeed. Looking forward to see you on the 3 sessions. And Giordano, paid up club member as well. Giordano, always love to have you here. Thank you very much indeed. David Vivas, gosh, there's that old friend of mine. Oh, and Chris. Hi, Chris. Good to see you there. And Richard Tier. Hi, Richard. How's things going with you? And Terry, thank you, Terry. And James, likewise Paid Up Club member, and Lynn. I'm glad it was so helpful, and thank you, David, again, another old friend. Thank you very much indeed, much appreciated. Rachel, thank you for dealing with everything as you always do. It's been a real pleasure as always. Thank you for all your help. You make it come together. Daryl, thank you for a fantastic session. Thank you all for being here. I have one button on my Stream Deck, and if I press it, hopefully it finishes the whole thing and I can dash off to my meeting in Warwick. It's been a pleasure to be with you. It's been a pleasure to share these ideas. It's been a pleasure to spend more of our time with your time on the 3-week program. Looking forward to seeing you all then. Until then, oh, I'll tell you what we should play. You know we run the Paid Up Club. We've got a Paid Up Club song. Here it comes. I'll have this playing while we're just finishing. Let me find the volume. This is the Paid Up Club song.
Stand still now. Every thought's a seed, we just know how. Peter sets the tone, the room ignites. Daryl flips the switch, the crowd takes flight. Rachel brings the balance, sharp and kind. A rhythm that rewires the mind. From mindset to market, the tools all align. AI in motion, the future in time.
All together now.
We are
Not the Paid Up Club.
We don't wait to grow, we learn the game, then we make it our own. We are the Paid Up Club. Ideas that move, smart hearts, strong minds. That's our groove. We are the Paid Up Club. It's more than a name, it's a code, it's a code.
That goes on for a bit, but it's absolutely fantastic. Daryl made that. I'll play more when we're on the 3-week, tell you more about Paid Up Club as well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the trust. Really looking forward to it. Looking forward to having a great time together. Well done, everybody. I'm pressing the button now. Bye-bye for now.
Truth and laughter on both sides. We test, we tweak, we learn, repeat. Innovation in the heartbeat.
Agreed. Didn't we do well?